Freedom of speech feels like a battle between David and Goliath. Let's discuss first New York Times. Back in 2019, they understood that freedom of speech was under attack. So what changed and why did they change sides? New York Times is owned and controlled by the Sulzberger family through a trust, and currently under control by A.G. Sulzberger. He's the publisher. A.G. stated that last year was the most dangerous year on record to be a journalist. So he notes how dangerous it has been to be a journalist and how important journalism is to freedom of speech across the entire world. Yet, what happened to New York Times? In the past, AG has been very outspoken with blaming Trump for the erosion of freedom of speech, stating, quote, "The current administration has retreated from our country's historic role as a defender of the free press." All right, but what about you guys? He claims that the Times is trying to resist the forces of polarization. Yet, why were you completely silent when the wealthy were going after content creators? What about free press? What about freedom of speech? What happened to that? Since June 9th, the New York Times hasn't posted anything regarding the case with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. I will say probably the only thing that is clear about this entire case is the integrity of mainstream media and certain content creators, because big content creators that covered this case, they were silent too. Nobody talked about the fact that Blake was going after content creators. Nobody was talking about that Blake Lively was going after DV survivors. That should have been the biggest headline for weeks. Why was only the UK and other side of the world talking about it, but US mainstream media was completely silent? All of the creators that had been talking about the case for so long all of a sudden went mute. Really? But AG says that we're not driven by clicks. We think in decades. So how do you think this is going to look in a few decades? That mainstream media stayed silent and let the wealthy go after normal citizens because they didn't like her. Because normal citizens dared to have a public opinion and shared their opinion online. And now subpoena. Not only is the silence enraging, but the fact that now that the whole Isabella thing is coming out and there's new stuff regarding the case, now people want to start talking about the case again. So we were completely silent when the creators were under attack, but now that there's new stuff to talk about that will get the clicks and the views, we'll start talking. Oh, okay.
Everybody and their mother is getting a subpoena. This is not directly targeted at Isabella. They're not trying to go after this young woman. Like, literally everybody is getting subpoenaed. Like last month, a bunch of YouTubers and podcasters, journalists like Candace and Perez Hilton, they got subpoenas from Blake. Even small YouTubers and TikTokers were getting subpoenaed through Google. Like, Google was having to tell them, like, hey, you got a subpoena from Blake Lively and Wayfarer Studios. But Blake is convinced that all of these people, these independent journalists like Candace, are part of this coordinated retaliation, which, by the way, Candace did an absolutely hysterical episode.
Not even a full minute. DV survivors, content creators, weren't even worth a full minute of Brett's time. Like, oh, we're going to talk about an entire update on the case, but we're just going to skim past the content creators and we'll give it 34 seconds. 34 seconds, that's it. It is such a slap in the face that mainstream media in the US didn't care. Big creators in the US didn't care. And those creators could have added pressure to get the mainstream media in the US to talk. Did Brett Cooper say anything about the content creators? No. Did Candace? No. I'm just so sick of people trying to act like they speak for the little guy, but then when the little guy needs help, we're just completely silent. We're not going to say anything because that's not going to get us the clicks and views that we want. I don't like it.
If I'm on maternity leave, I will be coming back, baby strapped on to me to read those text messages.
If it's about Isabella, yeah, we'll cover it. If it's about Taylor Swift, we'll run with a baby strapped on. But if it's about content creators with a smaller following, we're not going to give it the time of day. The reason that the public doesn't trust mainstream media is because they lack integrity. So I would hate to see content creators going down that same path. Omid is the only celebrity talking about Blake going after content creators, and he stated, "Ultimately, the damage will be to legacy media as we become more aware of how trusted platforms can be bought. Not taking my eyes off it for a second." Good thing. I'm disappointed, but not surprised. Do you think content creation has taken over mainstream media, or do you think there's room for both of us? What do you guys think of all of this? And as always, this is all alleged, so take it with a grain of salt and follow me for more.